Here we go. So I'm going to do an overview of all the different modeling tools. I will try to explain each modeling tool in order of priority. Just to get started, you have your regular scale and your rotate and your translate tool, which hopefully you will be familiar with or are familiar with. And that's your in your QWERTY tools. Q for select, W for translate, E for rotate, R for scale. And then you have your F8 to switch between component mode and object mode. Okay, now within component mode, you can right-click on your mesh. You can actually do this while you're in object mode also, and select the type of component that you want to be able to select. So I'm going to use faces first. And with faces, so the reason it showed up like this is that's a tool setting called soft select. I'm going to turn that off. I don't recommend using that for you guys. But anyway, I selected a face, and then to extrude, which is the most common of all the modeling tools, is to shift right click and extrude face. Okay, once you've done that, you can pull out a new face. You can also do it to a group of faces. So if I select all of these in this corner, shift right click, extrude face, and I can pull all of them out. Okay, so I can press F to frame it. Okay, so I extruded those faces. So that's the extrude tool. This is the most powerful tool, especially when you're box modeling. Now, I'll go to the next most common tool, and that's going to be the split polygon tool. So to use that, you need to go into object mode. You can press F8 on your keyboard to get to that mode, or you can right click and drag up to object mode. And then you'll shift right click and drag left to the split polygon tools, and then right to the split polygon tool. There's also an interactive version of this that I do not recommend to you guys. It will do more than what you want it to, and in fact, I never use it. I just haven't ever felt like it was really that useful. But what this does is it allows you to click on an edge, and you always want to click starting in the center of an edge with this tool, and then you can drag it and place a vertex anywhere you want to on that edge. Now you can also drag it all the way to the end of the edge so it intersects with other edges, and then you won't be adding a new vertex, but what it will do is it'll allow you to create an edge from that point. So I've released my mouse now, and if I click on another edge, it will draw that edge. So now I've clicked twice. Okay, and I can continue on around this object. Now you'll notice on the bottom left of my screen, right down here, this is called your help line. Watch when I click again. It gives me a percentage value of the line that the current edge that I am splitting in half. So if I wanted to split that right down the center, I could look down there and then release when it's at 50%. Okay, and so oftentimes this is used to do what we call to redirect the edge flow of your mesh. And I'll take some practice to do. So kind of what I'm doing right now is called adding in a crease. And then to finish it off, I just do that. And then to finish off the tool entirely, I can press Enter on my keyboard. Okay? which would bring us to the next most common tool, and that is the ability to delete an edge. To delete an edge, you need to go to Edge Mode and select the edges that you want to delete. So I'm going to delete that one over there and this one here. And then again, you want to hold down Shift, right-click, delete edge. The reason you want to do that, delete edges that way rather than pushing delete on your keyboard, is because delete edge will delete, if it can, the associated vertices as well. And that will be important in creating good geometry. Okay, now I can select an edge loop of edges by double-clicking on a single edge, and it will select all the associated edges. And this is why we call it the crease tool here, as you can kind of create a crease in the object that way. Okay, now I'm going to select some faces and delete them. There's nothing special you have to do to delete faces. You just select the ones you want to get rid of. So I'm going to select these ones that I extruded earlier. I'm going to deselect by holding down Control and clicking, and then press Delete on my keyboard. Okay, and I only did this so I could show you guys how to extrude an edge, which is another very common thing to have to be able to do. So all I have to do is, with an edge selected, is Shift right click, extrude edge. And then I can pull a new edge out from that edge and it creates a face. Okay. Now remember, anytime you add new geometry to a mesh, you'll want to go ahead and use that geometry to sculpt. So I'm aware I'm not doing that in this video. This video's goal is just to overview how to use these tools. Okay, so next, if you go back into object mode again, if you shift right click, there's this insert edge loop tool. This is the next most common tool. And it's overly used with beginners, I will say, because it seems like it's very nice and it is powerful. But all you have to do to use it is select the tool. You'll know that you're about to use it because your mouse cursor changes into a sharper arrow, kind of like a paper airplane shape. You know, if you click on an edge, it's going to, and you can drag, it will insert a set of edges all the way around your object, or as far as it can. Now, if I were to click up here, you'll see that it's not as predictable, and that's where people start to get in trouble with it. They also start to get in trouble because it adds a lot of extra geometry to your mesh with each click, and it's very tempting to not use all of it to sculpt your mesh, and that would be bad. Every bit of geometry you add to your mesh should add to the shape of the mesh. Okay, so that's the insert edge loop tool. Now, sometimes you just want to get rid of an edge. So I'm going to go to press Q on my keyboard to go to select mode. I'm going to select this edge, and I can shift right click and go to merge collapse and then collapse edge. And that's going to collapse that edge. It's going to make it not exist, and it will merge all the vertices that edge was attached to. Okay. Now with that in mind, there's also a similar version of that for vertices, which is also really common to use. You can shift right click. Once again, you go to merge vertices, and I like to use this merge vertex tool. With that selected, you can click on one vertex and draw and drag to another vertex, and when you let go, it's going to merge those two. Important to note with this one is the first vertex you click will be merged to the location of the one you drag to. Okay? Now that's extremely common